What's up, y'all? Welcome back to TRU's Podcast with your host, True Car. Today I wanted to talk about heart healing. I wanted to talk about the heart chakra and how important it is to be authentically yourself and show up in this world in a space of knowing how to protect yourself, but also knowing how to still stay centered. Even when a lot of chaos is going on, or even when you've been hurt or you've dealt with a lot of pain or struggle, because it's hard to keep your heart open when you've dealt with having to cut off so many people or having to release a lot of people that you love or you care about, and understanding to choose yourself in those moments. Because even if it is hard, even if it is somebody that you truly care about and that you truly love, understanding that they're not healthy for you and removing yourself from that situation, it really takes a toll on your heart space, and it puts you in a space to where you are no longer balanced within your own energy. And I think it's important to understand, when it comes to the heart chakra, that is the center of everything. That is the center of you as a human being, and the center of your chakras and your alignment. For example, you have the root chakra, and then you have the sacral chakra and the solar plexus, then you have your heart chakra and your throat chakra and your third eye and your crown chakra. And within the center of those chakras, of your chakra system, is your heart chakra, and that is what aligns everything together with your stability and your emotions, your stability to keep moving. Because when it comes to your emotions, it can either be your downfall or a manifestation tool in order to bring you out of whatever situation you are in. Because the more you feel into your heart, the more you connect to your heart, is the clearer your life will be, is the clearer your mind will be. Because I think it's important to understand to not throw away your feelings or throw away your emotions, but learn how to connect with that in order to bring a sense of stability to that, and to that in a sense of peace within that. Because I think it's important to understand, if you walk around with a cold heart, it puts you in a space of everything being dull and dim within your life. So your connections won't be anything but surface level. What you do in life will be just surface level. You would just have surface level money, just have cars and clothes and things of that nature. Or you won't even have that, and you will just be in a space of dimness, in a space of functional depression, or just depression in general, where you can't get up every single day because your heart is closed off to yourself. Your heart is closed off to the passions that you are meant to bring into this life. And so when you've been through a lot of hurt and pain and sorrow and trauma, it takes a toll on your heart, and it puts you in a space to where you feel nothing, and it feels numb. And a lot of the times people associate numb with peace. And I think it's important to understand, real peace is clarity. Real peace comes from being able to feel, but being able to emotionally regulate yourself as well. And I think that's important to understand, to learn how to emotionally regulate yourself and learn how to bring yourself into a space where your nervous system is at ease, and in a space of peace, and still being able to have openness, but also learning how to have discernment and close yourself off to what doesn't deserve your openness as well. Because I think that's important to understand when it comes to your heart chakra, being able to be in your feminine energy with receiving, but also being able to be in that masculine energy when it comes to being the protector of your heart as well. Because you don't want to just give anybody your heart to abuse and misuse it. You want to make sure that you are protective over yourself, but not too protective over yourself to where you are not allowing love to flow in. Not too protective over yourself to where you're not allowing that feminine and that masculine energy to flow in and out to where it needs to survive, to where you're not suffocating it. You want to make sure that you're protective enough to make sure that the wrong people are not getting access to you, and also understanding if you do allow the so-called, wrong people, because I do believe that everybody comes in your life for a reason. You're meant to learn something from them, even if it's just you understanding how to protect yourself, or you understanding how to see yourself, or understanding your worth. I think it's important to understand that if those people do come in, you understanding how to release and remove them quicker. Are you understanding how to still keep your heart soft and putting up boundaries within those relationships that don't deserve your time or your energy? Really understanding boundaries and what you need, but in order for you to truly understand the boundaries that you need, you have to become self-aware and honest with yourself, and understanding what you really need in a relationship, and understanding that your heart, if your heart is soft, to allow it to be soft, and understand how to place boundaries around that to where it still feels protected and seen by you, the most important person, you. And I think that's important to understand, really connecting to yourself and really being self-aware and understanding what you need as an individual. And not looking at your emotions as a weakness, but looking at your emotions as, looking at your sensitivity as a weakness, and not allowing other people to project onto you what sensitivity is as well, because a lot of the times the people that project sensitivity onto you, they love your sensitivity when you're there for them. They love your sensitivity when you're there for them, when you are a shoulder that they need to cry on, when they need love in their life, you're the first person that they come to. But when you need a shoulder to cry on, or when you need that love back in return, you're too sensitive. And I think it's important to make sure that also being self-aware enough to understand if you are showing up too sensitive, and also being that safe space for yourself, and making sure that you have safe connections as well, to where you have people that understand your sensitivity and they accept it and nourish it. But also being that for yourself, so that you are not giving so much to people that don't deserve that from you. But I think it's important to learn how to protect your heart and be there for your own heart and be there for your own vulnerability. But I think it's important to understand to get centered within yourself and connect to yourself and connect to your heart space every single day. Because the more you connect to your heart spaces, the more your energetic field feels like love and is more healing for you and the people around you. For me personally, I am a very heart-centered person, but I also balance that out with logic. I'm very much so like a logical person, but also very heart-centered as well. And I think it's important to balance that out, but I think it's important to connect to both of them separately as well, and allowing them to intertwine where they need to intertwine. But for me personally, how I get centered, how I connect to my heart space is I put both of my hands over my heart. I put my right hand first and then my left hand, and I'll do 3 deep breaths. And as I do those deep breaths, I just feel into my heart space, and sometimes I'll visualize a green orb or a green light within my heart space, and I'll just visualize that and breathe into that 3 times. And I allow myself to just sit in that and feel into that space. And sometimes I also do that. I also think it's important to do that when it comes to affirmations or praying. I think that the closest you'll get to God in connecting to Source is connecting to your heart space. And that's why I think it's important also to clear any clutter out of your heart. Forgive the people that you need to forgive and feel what you need to feel, because I don't think that forgiveness just means reconnecting and forgetting the past. I think forgiving has a lot to do with feeling what you need to feel, allowing yourself to feel the anger, allowing yourself to feel the trauma and the hurt and the pain, so that way it can truly be transmuted and your heart can be clear and open for you in what you need. So I'll put my hands over my heart and breathe into that 3 times, and then I'll allow myself to pray and connect to God in that way and connect to the universe in that way. And also I'll put my hands over my heart and look into the mirror, or just sit where I'm sitting and say whatever affirmations that I need to say, whether that be I am worthy, I am enough. And when you do that, if you do it right now and put your hands over your heart, you can feel into your voice as well. Being able to really connect to yourself and feel into your own presence, into your own energy before you connect to others, or before you connect to whatever you're trying to connect to, so that way you can come from a pure space, so that way you can genuinely connect from a space of light and not a space of heaviness, or allowing yourself to feel into that heaviness so that you can transmute it into something that either is released or something that you can use to fuel you. And I think that's important to understand. So really understanding that and connecting to that and showing up within that and allowing yourself to heal whatever blockages is within your heart, so that you can show up as authentically as possible, and also in a space where life feels more free, in a space where you feel more free as well. Because the more you release and let go of trauma and hurt and pain, is the more free you will feel, and the less constricted you will feel and confined you will feel within whatever you are going through at the time. And I think that's important to understand. And I think it's important to understand that the heart space is the center of everything. And the energy is green, and that's why I think it's important to come outside and connect to nature as well, because it automatically connects you to the abundance that your heart can truly give. Because in my personal opinion, nature was made out of love, and so love is what God is. And so I think it's important to understand how you genuinely strengthen that bond and that spiritual connection is connecting to your heart space and connecting to love and connecting to self-love, and really appreciating your mind, your heart, your soul, your body, paying attention to what you're feeding your body, paying attention to what you are digesting, not only just physically or food, but what you watch every day, what you're allowing yourself to connect to, the people that you allow yourself to connect to, or the people that you allow access to you in whatever form or whatever way. I think it's important to be mindful of that and making sure that you have boundaries placed to where you are showing up authentically and showing up in a space of love. And if you have people around you trying to dim you or break you or hurt you, to make sure to remove yourself or distance yourself or keep those conversations short, or placing the right boundaries in those connections. are removing and releasing that connection altogether, and also understanding removing those connections is the first step, but also learning how to disconnect on a energetic level as well, by meditating, by praying, by doing cord cuttings, by releasing and letting go, by doing grounding work, coming outside with your bare feet and putting that in the dirt, or putting that in the grass, and putting your hands in the grass and releasing and letting go of that energy into the earth and transmuting it into love, or into passion, or into whatever you need it to be. Because the more love you have within yourself is the more abundant life will be, the more abundant life will feel, even if it's a lot going outside of you. Protecting your heart and also allowing it to be in a flow state puts you in a space of that energy not affecting you as much as it affects other people as well. But yeah, this is Truth Podcast with your host, True Car.